Hello, friends of the IDF, and welcome to FIDF Live. I'm Lara Krinsky, and thank you for joining us nearly 1 week, yes, less than a week. It feels like so much has happened into Operation Roaring Lion or Epic Fury. Take your pick. What incredible and perfect names. Few people understand Iran the way our next guest does, because he didn't just study the regime, he grew up under it. Beni Sabti was born in Iran and grew up under the Islamic Revolutionary regime itself. As a teenager, he escaped to Israel, a journey that would ultimately lead him to dedicate his life to helping Israel understand the regime he once lived under. He went on to serve in the IDF as a researcher focused on Iranian culture, psychology, and decision making, studying how the regime thinks, how it communicates, and how it shapes the narrative both inside Iran and around the world. Today, Beni is one of Israel's leading Iran experts at the Institute for National Security Studies, a widely sought-after commentator for media outlets in Israel and internationally, and he's helped shape how Iran is portrayed culturally, serving as an advisor on the hit series Tehran and bringing authenticity to the story that reflects the real tensions that we're discussing today. Few people understand the regime and the Iranian people the way that Beni does, so we are so privileged to have him with us. Beni, thank you for being with us.
Thank you to have me here. I'm very proud and very glad to be here and serving IDF from another angle. It's my honor, actually. Thank you.
Well, this is really the moment. It's like everything that you've been doing your whole life is really coming to culminating in this moment. So let's dive right in. It seems that Iran is really getting pummeled right now. Can you explain to us, though, what does this mean for the global power structure? Let's zoom out first. What does this mean in the global power structure for the West versus, China, Iran, Russia, like beyond saving Israel from nuclear holocaust, which is no small thing? Can you help us understand the global chess game that's unfolding?
Yes. First of all, you said that I know Iran from my eyes, and yes, today when I saw some neighborhoods are bombed in Tehran, so in one side I'm a little bit sad, but because I know the streets, I know the smells, but in another side I know that it's a kind of surgery that we are doing to Iran to make it better for all of us, for all the region and for all over the world. This is so related to your question. The challenge with Iran and this regime is that they are kind of living in the past and they want to bring back the ancient Iranian empire, but not as a good one, not like what it was in Cyrus period or Cyrix period, as we read in the Book of Esther a few days ago in Purim festival. They want to make it an evil empire, and they want to do it with just ruling every other areas when there are some instabilities in the countries like in Middle East, like in Syria, in Lebanon, to establish terror organization and even to bring it to other areas, like in Europe in 95. No one talks about it, but Iran wanted to establish a Hezbollah in Bosnia-Herzegovina. This is a Muslim country. They were in war, as you remember, maybe Bosnia and Serbia. It was a war between Muslims and Christians. So they ran to there. They wanted a Hezbollah on European soil. And they want their influence everywhere. In Europe, in US, in Canada, in Australia, you saw their footsteps by the Islamic centers. It's not about Israel, as you said before. We can manage that. Believe me, Israelis with all their machoism, they love to fight. I don't know why, but they love to fight. I have to re-educate them a little bit. But for the world, this is the important and the dangerous thing, that Iran wants to be everywhere and to rebuild that empire, but as an evil one, as a Shiite radical empire. So this disturbs a lot of other powers, of course, in the world, Arab nations, Arab countries in this region, of course, US and Israel. But we have two other powers that they just take benefit from this situation. They actually cooperating with Iran to bring instability to this region because of their interests. It's China and it's Russia. And they kind of making false promises to Iran regime. They milk them from their resources. They take the oil, for example. The Chinese take the oil, Iranian oil by 50% of discount. You don't believe that. The Iranians, maybe you heard that they play chess and they are very wise. I'm very sorry to say they are not so wise. And this is the reason that the country is so in such a bad shape and the people are suffering, and they are also not making good businesses. So China tries to influence Iran, but just taking the resources. They don't care about Iran as a country, the regime, the people, of course. And Russia, they have their interests, and they really don't help Iran regime with some, I don't know, planes or other supports, military supports. No, actually, the Iranians went for so much for the Russians, and they sold them drones, for example, in their war against Ukraine. But the Russians didn't even pay them until now. They didn't even pay them. So the battle is actually today. Actually, today you can see that Iran is alone. It's standing alone, and it's a very sad thing for me as a former Iranian to say. It's very, for me to say them, to see them being such a kind of victim of their being naive with Chinese and Russians, not like what is between Israel and US or other European countries. We trust each other because we have the same values. China and Russia are not real friends. They never were. So we are in the better side with the liberal values, with the democracies, with US, of course, and they are not in the right side, and they even attack their neighbors because they are so isolated, so alone. So the situation for Iran regime is very, very bad.
So thank you so much for unpacking that, because I think that that's something that a lot of people have been wondering. It's, you know, what was the desired power dynamic between China and Russia and Iran, and, you know, was it going to be achievable without conflict, and why haven't then China come to the aid of Iran? And I think that's something that's been confusing for people to understand.
They will never come to help them, because all that matters for the Chinese, I think you know it also in US, they are only interested about their economy, how to milk other countries or nations or even their own nation. I heard that they move villages and small cities inside China just to build, I don't know, some factories, or they come to the people and say, okay, you have 1 day to move from here, and they cannot take anything from their houses. So this is what they do to the Chinese, to their nation. So imagine what they are doing to Iran. They destroyed all the fish and all the living in Persian Gulf, in Oman Sea, because they come with huge ships, what they cannot do in other seas and other oceans because they are international law. But Iran, unfortunately, doesn't care about the law, and they sacrifice Persian Gulf, the area that and the sea for just some dollars, and they even don't get the right price for that. So the Chinese are not really there for being friends and to support them. We can a little bit less worry about them. And the Russians, as I said, they have their problems. They betrayed Iran in 17th century and 18th century. Many wars happened between them. So really, we are in the better side.
Right. Well, that's a relief in terms of the mission of taking down the regime, 100%. And it also does, though, hurt China that their oil supply is now affected and everything. So it's so interesting to understand. Another area that's been in the news a lot in connection with Iran has been the Strait of Hormuz. Like, we've been hearing a lot about this. Can you share with us the significance of this channel and why it's been such a focal point, you know, with the Navy and in the news? Can you help us understand why that's strategically important?
Yes, the problem with Persian Gulf and the Straits of Hormuz it's the door for the Persian Gulf and for all the ships, no matter if they are military ships or vessels for bringing oil or other suppliers to this area. It's kind of a door, and Iran controls all the northern shores of Persian Gulf and the Straits of Hormuz. So they have the power to close that door. It's a very narrow area. It's like Gibraltar, in the Mediterranean Sea and Atlantic Ocean. So they can close it theoretically. They threaten with that for maybe, as I remember myself as a child, I think it happened also in Iran-Iraq war, but actually they never had the braveness to do that. They didn't dare, never. And even today, it's not really close. It's just a little bit dangerous to pass in that way. The problem is that all the Saudi, all the Kuwaiti, all the Qatari, and other Arab countries' facilities and refineries for oil, they are on that area, under southern part of Persian Gulf. So if they want to export that oil or gas from Qatar, they have to go through Straits of Hormuz, and it's a door that, as I said, Iran theoretically they can close it or they can open it whenever they want. They actually kind of playing like pirates now. They want to, stand there and take their share or something like that. But I think they are much more afraid of whatever it can happen to them if they really do that 100% and close it totally. They still, I think last night, Foreign Minister of Iran, he said, no, we didn't close it. We are thinking about. This is a real Iranian typical way of doing something. They say something, but they are afraid from their sayings. And they always think about maybe worse thing can happen to them because of their actions. So they hesitate, they don't do that. They have the Nazi ideology, but they don't have the Nazi speed to do things. Thank God, really, thank God.
Thank God.
They are not so fast. So they take the time. If we give them time, it's a problem. But if we take the time, in this example or other example, it's a better thing. So this is the reason actually the Saudis are thinking about making pipelines to the other side, to the southern parts of Saudi, and get rid of this Persian Gulf or Strait of Hormuz, not to need them anymore and to bypass it from south. So, but it's not relevant now. The thing is, the stress now, it's psychologically. This is what, I don't know, whoever is investing in stock market or things like that, you have to understand that it's more psychologically, and it's not a real pressure. They didn't close it really, or maybe half closed. And the oil is coming out. Believe me, if China didn't have enough oil, maybe they could come to the war. Maybe they could do something, but they still have their share. So if they're quiet, I'm also quiet. We have to wait and see to see what happens with that.
Absolutely. Thank you so much. I mean, we've seen a lot of attention from the U.S. Like there have been reports coming out about submarines that have been sunk and ships that have been sunken in connection with the Navy and all of that. And it's related to the Strait of Hormuz. But we've also seen Iran, as it's trying to save itself, pushing fake news about supposed wins that it's had against the U.S. What is this propaganda for at this point? Like, who are they trying to save face with? Like, who is still listening?
Exactly. You are so right. It's all in the Iranian culture for many centuries, and also about this regime. The people are not like this anymore. I have to say, in these 30 last years, Iranian people changed. They are not anti-Semitic like they were. They don't hold the face just with the lies and many other bad things that the regime is stuck with them. But the people are very good with the world, with the West, with everything. The regime, yes, is still in that place of making false propaganda, lies. the day before yesterday, they said that they killed 500 soldiers, American soldiers. What? Who? Where? Why didn't we hear about that? You cannot hide any news today with all this social media, and everybody is a reporter with his phone, you know. So they lie all these years to the West, to the world. They claim that they are strong. This is the reason, what I said before, that if we give them time to bring instability, if we give them time to lie and to bring all these Islamic centers or all this propaganda to your areas, to the West, so yes, they win. They make it a very powerful lie, and the white people, yes, they buy that. I'm very sorry to say, but they buy that. But now we can see that they have no military power really. They are very weak inside Iran. The people hate them. We saw the protests, and maybe we can go in that a little bit later. So everybody knows about that. So I think we can also be a little bit more calm about their influence on the stock markets or in the Straits of Hormuz. You just remind me that this war happened also in '88. You know, when they bombed some oil vessels in '88, when they had Iran-Iraq war, in 2 days, U.S. neutralized all the Iranian. There was no Iranian Navy anymore for 2 days, and Iran-Iraq war stopped. It stopped in July '88 because America just interfered for 2-3 days. So, and now, of course, we gave them time. They have 40 years since then, and okay, they have missiles and other things, but okay, maybe it takes a little bit more time. But they are so empty from inside in every aspect, in military aspect, in economy, in social aspect. So we can be a little bit more calm.
The context is so important, to understand, just like in history repeating itself and understanding what's going on exactly. Can I ask you, what has been the psychological impact of on the regime in realizing just how deep Israeli intelligence penetration really was? I mean, that's really been one of the most mind-boggling things about this war. It's just been how exceptional, how wild. It's like out of a movie. So can you explain, while we're all in awe, what is the impact of that on the regime?
There is a huge impact on the regime, and they are very afraid of their assistants, of their phones, of their wives, of their elevator. The two things that made the great effect against Iran regime in these recent years. Of course, there were other things, but the biggest thing that happened, and they still have the echo inside Iran, is assassinating Ismail Haniyeh, the Hamas leader, when he went to sleep in IRGC headquarters in Tehran, a very secret place. Nobody knows about that place. And his bed went off. It exploded. I think every man has to be very careful when he goes to sleep every night. I think the men have to check their beds in Iran now. Be very careful, I think. And the pagers, of course, you remember that with the Hezbollah soldiers, what happened with that? They think that the enemy is inside their pockets or maybe in their necklace. They didn't turn on the air condition for several weeks. They took it. But there is something that is related to your other question, the lie. Sometimes, unfortunately, I'm very sorry for Iran as a country that they are captured and they are in these hands of this Iran regime. They lie to outside of Iran, but they lie also to themselves. This is the huge problem. They say to themselves, they convince themselves that they are so powerful, they can get over with everything. They tell to themselves, and I remember the IRGC lessons, they used to take us to the mosques or to ideological lessons. And they used to say to us, we are winning in Iran-Iraq war, and we are crashing the Iraqis, and we take their tanks. But of course, it was a lie. Maybe in one day, 15,000 or 20,000 Iranian soldiers were killed, but they didn't tell us about that. And many years after that, we knew about that. And today it's the same. The good thing is that the people know the truth. They see in the social media, they have the exile channels in Persian that they broadcast to them. They know now the truth. So the problem is, and I think this is what happened with Khamenei. When he was still in his home, I was so insulted. I was so surprised. How can it be that you don't understand that the planes are coming? Maybe not today, but tomorrow. Take yourself to other place, to other city. But no, he was in home. Really, they lost that. The problem is that Iran regime lies to itself and he says to itself, we are strong, God is with us, their Messiah, Mahdi, is with us. A few months before this war, between the June war and now, someone said about the leader that God talks through him. What can I say? Okay, you cannot bring sense to this kind of people. So I think this is the place that they are hurt from their lives. And
Right.
it's a good place for us.
Right. One of the things that you've touched on a few times in this conversation is the ideology of the regime. And, I'd love to understand that a bit more. One of the things that's part of the ideology is the concept of honor. And it's not something that's familiar to Westerners, but I'd love to hear if you can share a bit more about the ideology and ultimately link it to one of the elements of poetic justice that we're seeing, which is that this regime that so demonized the West, but especially despised Israel, now being taken down by it, and especially after brutally oppressing women, now being taken down by Israeli pilots, and I assume also Israeli female pilots. Especially, just what does this mean to the regime in connection with honor and its ideology and everything that it's been espousing for decades?
Yes, this is very shocking for them, of course, whatever is happening against them. But as I said before, they lie to themselves. But about the ideology, it actually comes from about 1400 years ago when the Shiite part of the Islam was established. And they are living for this 1400 years with the feeling that the crown and the kingdom was taken from them by the Sunnis, by the Jews, from 18th, 19th century, from the West, because Russia was kind of West for them in the end. 200-300 years ago, it was an empire. Britain, of course, and now USA. This is the new empire of West. So they feel like the victim, like we are, and US, of course. We are in an alliance with the Sunni countries, and we are in the same side. It makes them think that the history is repeating itself, and they are alone, as I said before. They are few against the many. But they are fighting the right war. In their minds, they are fighting the right war. They have the justice. They have the truth with them. And as I said before, they have the God beside them. When you have all these parts of the puzzle in your mind, you become radical. You don't think with logic, not the logic, at least we know, but that sense of being right and bringing into that the religion, the right sentences. Everyone can find the right sentence in any holy book to justify his action. I think it can happen to any religion, even if it's Buddhism or, I don't know, Jewish.
The most peacenik pacifist, in any.
I'm sorry, very sorry to say that, but everyone can become a radical and justify his actions if he looks in the Bible or other books, or of course in Quran. So in that place, there is no such a difference between Iran regime that is Shiite and Bin Laden or ISIS or Taliban, that they were Sunnis. In that place, in the result, there are no differences. This is actually the reason that sometimes they cooperate. They are enemies in Middle East, but against the West, they cooperate.
It's like my enemy's enemy is my friend. Yeah.
Exactly, exactly. They can give the gun to a Sunni guy and send him to assassinate President Trump, or bringing down the Trade Center in New York. It could happen with the Iranians also. It's the same for them. So when you take that Shiite ideology with the radical way of thinking that I am right and I'm the victim, plus what I said in the beginning, that they have the feeling that the empire has to come back. When you combine all these things and you see the enemy all over your borders, Pakistan, Afghanistan, Russians from north, the Arabs, they are others. They are others. Sunnis, of course, Israel, and we go to US and Europe. So this what brings them to that place of radicalism. One thing they took from West, and it's a very sad thing to say, they loved Adolf Hitler, they loved the Nazi radical ideology. I had Mein Kampf in Persian in my home. You can find it today in Persian. I can send a picture if you want. You have it in Persian. You can buy it, you can go to the mosque and take it for free. I was a good student in the school, so they gave me one. This was my prize. I didn't believe that, actually. My mother threw it out immediately. But this is one thing that they loved to cooperate with the West. They love, for example, I talked about Bosnia and what they wanted to do there. They look also for other radicals in other areas. If it's Far East in Asia, in Philippines, in Indonesia, in Malaysia, of course, in these countries in Middle East, Hezbollah, Hamas, all of these terror organizations are because of that ideology.
Wow. One of the things that everything that you've said so far really gives the impression that it is possible, that it could be that the regime is taken down in this moment. I mean, everything you've said till now makes that seem like it's feasible. If the regime does begin to crack, then what do you foresee happening in that vacuum of power? You know, the regime has done a really good job of suppressing the civilian population for so long that, you know, they can't truly be organized to carpe diem and seize power effectively. So what do you see as truly being feasible in terms of the regime collapse and a return to moderation, and the leadership and organization, you know, to make that happen? Like, what do you see?
Yes. So first of all, I think the US and Israeli mission today, after eliminating Khamenei, the last leader, is to also eliminate the next leader. Allowing them to have a new leader is actually giving them more oxygen and more time to reestablish and to repair and to fix all the things. They don't care about facilities. They don't care about soldiers. They don't care about bases, the oil, Persian Gulf. They don't care about that. It's just like Hamas. As long as we remain in the power, we are there. Okay, it will take time for us to rebuild all the terror net or missile program or nuclear program, but the Trump will be gone, and we will have another chance, and we will come back. For them, it's thinking for yes, thousands of years. You know, all the legends in Iranian, even ancient stories, they talk about thousands of years. That king did this and did that for thousands of. Okay, and as I said, thank God that they are not so fast, really. So the most important thing is to take out the next leader, to hit more and more IRGC senior figures, generals, other officers in Tehran and other places, headquarters, the operation forces, of course, we take them out all the time. Even the stations of morality police, Israel began to deal with them. I actually didn't believe that, because I know from some pictures in some streets that I walked, that people came to harass me, or girls or others, or my parents even. So I'm so thankful for them. We are doing this war for the Iranian people and for us. This is the unique thing in this war.
And the morality police, just to explain real fast, they're the ones who will persecute someone, or prosecute, I should say, prosecute someone, for not wearing a hijab, for example.
Exactly. Okay. So, and I go to your point. The thing is, we saw some kind of organization and leadership in the protests that we saw in January. There were some leaders, local leaders. Most of them, it's supposed that they support the Crown Prince of Iran, which was exiled, and he lives in near Washington. He's a very liberal guy, and he visited Israel. He is a great friend of Jewish communities in America or other places, and of course liberal and democratic values. But it's hard to see that he can come back to Iran very quickly. There are these organizations and leadership that we don't see them, but we see a lot of messages from Mossad in Telegram channels that they say to them, be prepared, be organized, we will tell you what to do and when to do and when to come out. So I think, I don't know, but I think that it's not only about hitting militarily Iranian regime, but there is also another solution for the day after. Of course, there can be also, we have to be also realistic. There can be like the other regime, like the last regime that fell in 79. They didn't assassinate and they didn't executed all the people that worked for that regime. You cannot do that. And it's better not to doing that because you need the bureaucracy. I think there are some moderate figures, maybe some senior officers also in the Iranian army, not IRGC, the better army, that also they was oppressed and they were put aside, not good positions in the regime. So maybe there is also a chance for cooperation and coalition from outside and from inside, some moderate figures that we have to consider to bring them in, those who didn't kill maybe some people or didn't attack us with I don't know, with other cases abroad. So there can be a combination of things like that. And from these messages of Mossad in Telegram channels, I think that there is something that can come out.
I hope you're right. I hope so. The whole world is hoping so. Meanwhile, a successor was appointed, and it seems to be the son of Khamenei. Can you tell us what you know about him as a leader? And obviously, he's got a target on his back. Like, he has to know that he has a target on his back. And you mentioned earlier, like, why weren't they smarter? What were they doing gathering? What was he doing at, in his house? Do you think that the Iranians are getting smarter about avoiding those hits, or is the intelligence advantage still overwhelmingly on Israel's side?
So, as you said, he has a target on his back. He's also a target for Israel or US to hit him and to neutralize him. Of course, he has an open account with us now when his parents, father and mother, and his wife and his son eliminated and others in that office. They actually live together in the office and the house. It's the same. And it was bombed and many people out there were killed. Of course, it's the best thing that happened, I think, in these 47 years, all this leadership. So he can be the worst leader. If he is elected, he is the worst leader. He is the worst
than his father? Like worse than his father?
Yes, because at least, there is a phrase in Persian that says there is no black more than black. But the problem is that, when you grew up in two cultures, at least the power of the other side. His father he grew up in the Shah regime, the king regime. he knows about the West. He was afraid in his first years of leadership. He was very afraid of the West, and he made some compromises. This guy Mojtaba, the son, he of course has the revenge in his mind, to revenge for his parents and for his wife and all the family. And he grew up only with IRGC, only with the radicals. He has billions of dollars, at least $5 billion, according to Reuters. I think 3 years ago, they published that. The whole money of the family, it's estimated about $97 billion in foreign banks. If you can put your hands, somehow, if anybody hears me and could put their hands in that money, please do that. It's much more important than the price of the oil. Okay, it can make us very happy. So it's so sad. They stole Iran country for so many years. And I cannot believe that. This is the reason that they don't have water or electricity or anything. They are so corrupted. First of all, they are so corrupted. But by the name of God, they abuse God and the religion. And I have nothing against any religion. Any religion can be good, but also can be wrong and radical. And they abused God and religion to make all this money, to steal Iranians and us, of course, to kill us or everything. So this guy was brought up with the radical ones, with IRGC. His best friends are the heads of the nuclear program or missile program or terror machine. Soleimani, who was assassinated by President Trump a few years ago, he was his best friend. He has a lot of pictures with him, and the senior guys from Hezbollah or other terror organizations. So this guy thinks only about destruction. He has no borders, no barriers. I won't be surprised if he will be the leader and he will shoot his first missile to New York. Clearly, I don't want to afraid you. Really, I don't want to afraid you. Because as I said before, Israel can handle it with them. But what the West can do with Iran, if he is the leader, I'm very afraid of that.
Wow. Okay, that's important to understand. No. It's important to understand who you're dealing with. Like, better to know it and name it than to be oblivious. 100%.
As you say, tell me who are your friends, and I tell who you are. So, and even in the Bible, we when we talk about this Mojtaba, this son, we say that he's like Shlomo the king, Solomon the king's son, because when the people came to him and they said, your father made a lot of taxes, please make it a little bit less, and we can live, because his father made the temple, beat the temple, so it was very expensive. And he said, my father beat you just by hands or by lashes. I will beat you with scorpions. This is what we deal now.
Wow.
Someone who doesn't understand the power of the power that he has in hands. So, kind of Bin Laden, actually.
Wow. So, someone like that who clearly has an interest in self-preservation and preserving their authority, what then is the logic, going back into this war and what's happening right now? Then what is the logic when we're seeing Iran hitting its own neighbors, not hitting military bases, but hotels, passenger terminals and airports, civilian infrastructure? It's already battered and, from everything we've discussed, losing. So why would it also isolate itself? Is that strategy? It seems like suicide. What is going on there?
It's really a strategy. It comes from the ideology. As I said before, they firstly, like they don't believe in the existence of the West, they don't believe the existence of these countries, because as I said before, they were part of the Iranian Empire. They don't recognize the borders of Bahrain, Oman, UAE, Qatar, even Qatar. You think, okay, these are radicals, those are radicals. No, they were parts of Iranian ancient empire, and they are Sunnis. Even Iraq, Syria, in 2011, the head of the intelligence service of IRGC said that they are going to help Syrian regime against those rebels and to save Bashar Assad, because first of all, Syria is not was, is an Iranian ancient province. This is what he said in 2011. So if you take all this time that passed since then, 15 more years of radicalism, of believing your lies, of believing that all these countries are yours, you are the right one, the God talks through you, and all this nonsense. So you go into that so much that, you know, automatically, but slowly you are isolated.
Right.
But the problem is that you think that you're right. All the others, they don't believe in compromise. You know, another phrase in Persian is, if a partner was a good thing, so God would take a partner for himself. Thinking like that, if you understand what I'm saying, they don't believe in compromise. They don't believe in good and healthy economy, that it's a global economy. It's about selling and buying and being in a good relationship, not to stab the other ones in back, not to try to destroy them every day. So if they believe in all these things, there is no surprise. Actually, we told all these things for many years to IDF, to any other organizations that they were ready to hear us. But, you know, it was so theoretically, and it was, okay, it belongs
Too
to the other.
abstract. Yeah.
Yeah, it's no, they just come to help Bashar Assad. They don't want to stay there. No. If an Iranian regime guy comes to some place, he wants to stay. They did it in Lebanon, they did it in Syria, in every place, in Iraq, in US, as I said before, in Europe. So we just have to kick them out, to make them smaller. Maybe in that time they will understand.
Toward the effort of kicking them out, one of the things that we're seeing is that all of Iran and its proxies all seem to be in the same business of building these underground terror cities.
Yes.
For Hamas and Hezbollah was the terror tunnels and the underground dungeons, and for Iran, we're hearing about these underground missile cities and, you know, fortified nuclear infrastructure. Because they've done such a good job of hiding it, do you think that the U.S. and Israel actually know where these sites are enough to finish the job of eliminating the missile program and reaching the goal of stopping them from having, you know, military capabilities and the ability to enrich?
I will make it short answer in this time. I made a long...
No. It's fascinating, please.
Just yes, you can see it, and I don't have any insider intelligence or something. I'm out of the system for many years, but you can see it from the results. As I said before, we are bombing even morality police stations. We know many points. We know many targets and the facilities. It's not just from nowhere and by chance that so many nuclear scientists, they were eliminated in their houses. You know, funny thing, two of them were not with the wife, they were with the mistress. Israel knew about the mistress, the wife didn't know about the mistress. Okay? So I think you can understand how much Israel and US know, and of course they share the intelligence. There is no border, there is no secret. Since things changed when President Trump came in the administration, really, it's something else. In the air, in the intelligence, in everywhere. They talk every day. The head of the chief of staff talk every day, and we know all about the facilities, all kind of facilities. Yes, they shoot some missiles, because these are the launchers sometimes move from some place to other place, but we also take them down. But those who are the facilities that they are staying there, the headquarters and every building we know about, and wow, I'm so surprised about that. Even me.
Yeah, it's been incredible. I mean, this is the shining example of what's possible with an incredible alliance. This is just and capabilities. It's really
Yeah.
astounding.
You
I
know,
want
Israel had many trainings for the Air Force or gathering information, at least for since I was a young soldier about 35 years ago. Please don't do the math about my age. Okay, I'm 25 years old. Don't do the math. So when you have so much information for 35, 40 years, and you make the trainings, and you make it almost to the reality, even 2, 3 years ago, and you know very much about what is going on in Iran, and you take down their scientists already in 2009, 2010. What can I say? Actually, Tehran series is it's about that. It's about knowing what is going on inside Iran. That girl comes there, and she knows all about facilities and the people, and she does a really good job.
for sure. I'm sure everybody is like going back to that series to get a glimpse into what's happening, right now with the current events. One of the dynamics I wanted to make sure we had time to touch upon is that Iran essentially built Hezbollah for this moment, and now Hezbollah has joined the war, but Lebanon beyond Hezbollah is increasingly turning against it. What does that mean? What do those dynamics represent, and what does it mean for Iran's leverage over over Hezbollah right now?
Yes, the good thing was that Israel dealt first of course, very unfortunately, because of or after October 7th, that horrible day, so many people were killed, but Israel began to seriously deal with Hezbollah and other terror organizations, and we kind of have neutralized them uh, by the end of 2024. Of course, that summer with the pagers and taking out Nasrallah and other leaders was a very important time to do that, and they come to this war when they are very weak. And actually, Iran regime sees how it wasted its time and its money for Nasrallah and other organizations. They invested only on Hezbollah about $50 billion only in 25 years. $50 billion. You know how much they could do in Iran for the Iranian people in 25 years, but they invested in terror, but it failed. In the right moment, it failed. Thank God and thank the IDF and whatever Israel did. Really, it was a miracle. So they are afraid. They were afraid to join Iran regime now in these last days, but they did that. They are doing it very slowly and not in big proportions. But because of because Hezbollah is very weak in these months, so finally the Lebanese government has the braveness to come out to be against them. Let's not forget that around 40% of the Lebanese are still Christians or other minorities, Sunnis. They don't accept Hezbollah. Hezbollah ruled there. They became the Lebanese army just because they have the guns and the ammunition and the missiles. But when you take it from them, they are nothing. They are also the poorer community in Lebanon. And before the 70s, nobody cared about them. So now suddenly Lebanese government with support of US, Europe, and of course silently from Israel, they are coming back. They don't want to have them anymore. Their Hezbollah representative in parliament was assassinated 2 days ago. Very good thing. So you cannot see them in the politics, in the army. Let's have a good relationships.
It's really the possibilities that are showing up right now for a new reality are thrilling. Like, it's really exciting to think what we could, how the neighborhood could change. I wanted to end on a more populist note. You know, we've all seen the videos of how Iranians and both in Iran and around the world are celebrating. You know, we're seeing them doing the Trump dance. They're shouting "Bibi June" in the streets. You know, which is like "Bibi dear," and bringing flowers to Israeli consulates. And some people have asked if it's AI, but it appears to be real and going viral. We've seen the destruction of the countdown clock to the destruction of Israel and Tehran, and female pilots dropping the bombs. It has to be such a humiliating moment for the regime. Do you think that the humiliation matters in a moment like this? Does the world's shifting view of Iran from strong to weak actually weaken it, or does it embolden it?
I think in these moments and days, the humiliation is not a matter for Iranian regime because they just want to survive. Maybe they will reach revenge against us if we let them, yes, if we give them time, or against the Iranians inside or outside Iran later. But it's only on us if we give them time or we won't. But I want to talk about how good it is and how these examples that you said are such good examples that show us that Iranian people inside and outside of Iran are with Israel. They have liberal values now. They are democratic. They love Jews. You know, just accidentally, 3.5 years ago, Iranian regime made a poll, a real poll, not just in the internet. It was meant to be secret. And they made a poll inside Iran, and it showed that 75% of the Iranians love the Jews. Love the Jews, not only Israel, not only Rita or Sarit Haddad or singers or I don't know, no, they love us, they see us that we enjoy ourselves and we have the beaches and boys and girls and freedom, just freedom. You know what they love very much? The Pride Parade in Tel Aviv. They love it. You know why? Because the regime hangs homosexuals, gays. So they see that Israel respects all kinds of the other. And there are Arab soldiers in IDF. There are Druze soldiers, there are girls in IDF. And the women, they have such good positions. And the head of some banks are women in Israel. They don't understand. They want it so much. They love us. In abroad, you see so many Iranians come to demonstrate with Israelis against those free Palestine demonstrations, or Iranians come to the Israelis, or Israelis come to the Iranians. So we are the real brothers in the Middle East. We are two ancient nations that we have so much to do together, to go back to that good times of cooperation, economically, tourism, everything, security, of course. They actually have a name for those agreements for the day after. Cyrus agreements. We have Abraham Accords or Abraham agreements. They want Cyrus Accords, Cyrus agreement. You know, we cannot take from them the empire, but the good empire. We can go for that. Iranians are with us. A free Iran is a free Israel from terror, from nuclear power, from missiles. So, and all these terror organizations can vanish in one moment because they don't have a salary, they don't have guns. That's it. And also, of course, for the West, no agents on your soul, no Islamic centers, no propaganda, not having charity for terror organizations on behalf of some, I don't know, false story about a prophet that never existed or something. Again, I don't want to insult anyone, but that lie that they come together to collect money, but for terror organizations, and they sell a lie also to naive Europeans or Americans. We can stop all that. If Iran is better, we are.
Wow. Thank you so much, Beni, for sharing your expertise, your passion, your wisdom, your experience We've learned so much today, and truly, I could listen to you forever. Your passion jumps through the screen, and it's clear that your knowledge is just bottomless. You're a well, and you just have so much. So I hope that we can have you back again soon. It's been such an honor to speak with you, and thank you for squeezing us in, because I know this is really the moment your entire career has been building towards. And thank you for everything that you're doing to ensure Israel is as effective and leverages this moment to the max. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you very much for having me. As I said in the beginning, it's just helping IDF and Israel and maybe the Iranians from another angle. So it's just for freedom and good days.
Amen. Kenny Ratzon, so it should be. To those of you listening, if you're wondering how you can stand with the soldiers who are defending Israel right now, visit fidf.org/roar. Our people right now are in shelters. The missiles, now cluster bombs, have been going on for days, and our heroes have been non-stop defending, saving lives offensively and defensively. You can level up their strength with your unity. If not now, when? So please stay with us. Go to FIDF.org, do your part, and together we will win. May God bless America. May God bless Israel. And may God bless and protect our incredible soldiers and grant them with a swift and complete victory. Shabbat Shalom, and Am Yisrael Chai.